Yo, what's going on, guys? Today I'm going to be going over the NBA slate on DraftKings and Yahoo for Thursday, February the 28th. We got a 6-game Thursday slate today. I'm going to go through each position, talk about some of the guys that stand out to me, give some of my early looks and give some of my early thoughts on this 6-game slate. We'll work our way through the player pool. Before we do get started, though, I would appreciate it if you guys would drop a like on the video, and if you are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below, so that way you don't miss out on any of my new uploads. But starting off at point guard today, we have Russell Westbrook as the most expensive option here. He's 11,100 in a matchup with the Sixers. I do like Westbrook today. Him and Paul George are going to be the two guys I really try and pay up for on this slate. Karl-Anthony Towns is a wait and see for me. In a tough matchup against the Pacers, I don't really want to pay $10,500 for Karl-Anthony Towns, but if Jeff Teague sits again today, that does give Towns a little bit of a boost and makes him a little bit more intriguing. Right now, the studs for me are George number 1, Westbrook 2, Towns 3, Harden 4, Jokic 5. Jokic against Utah, I think is a fine matchup. $10K for Jokic is a good price tag. It's a cheap price tag. It's probably a little bit too underpriced. Gobert is still a pretty good defender, even though the Jazz defensively against centers this year haven't been as good. Gobert is still a good defender, even though Jokic has had success in this matchup. I think I just prefer Paul George on this slate. There's a lot of paying up for Paul George and paying up for Westbrook. There's a lot of good centers in the mid-range. We're going to talk about a guy like Kevin Love. Mitchell Robinson been playing so well. There could potentially be value here. We saw Hassan Whiteside sit on Wednesday. He could potentially be out again, which would make Bam Adebayo probably the best value play. Jonah Bolden as well at 4K. It's going to be a really good value with Boban out for this game. So I'm thinking I'm going to be going cheap at center and not really paying up a ton at this position. If I were to pay up, though, I think Towns will be the guy to go to, especially if Teague sits. But going back to point guard, do like Westbrook today. I prefer him over Harden. Westbrook's not my favorite stud. Paul George is my favorite stud today. But still can't go wrong with Westbrook in this game against the Sixers. Should be a high-scoring game. Two teams that match up well. Should be a competitive game. Right now, I think it has a 8-point spread, so expect to stay close at least to where Westbrook and these guys play full minutes. 239 total. I think that is the highest total on the slate. Yeah, 239 total. Pretty big margin between the next highest total, which is 226 in Golden State Orlando. So this game's definitely a game we're going to want to target. Obviously, Westbrook's a good play. But I do like some other point guards we could possibly consider. There's going to be some value potentially at this position as well. In the mid-range, though, at point guard, I do like Dennis Smith Jr. His price tag stands out at $6,300. The Knicks right now are not really a team I want to invest too much of my money in, just because their minutes on a nightly basis are going to be so inconsistent. I feel like Smith Jr., his minutes are a little bit secure out of all the Knicks players, even though he only played 21 minutes in the last game against the Magic. I think you can definitely go back to Dennis Smith Jr. here. It's a great matchup with the Cavs. I don't mind him in that mid-range. He would be my favorite play if I was going to the mid-range. And then if Jeff Teague is out, which I think is a pretty good possibility, it's a back-to-back. He didn't play Wednesday. It's a road back-to-back as well. So we could definitely see Jeff Teague sit again. Jeff Teague's out. That opens up Derrick Rose, but obviously the guy we really want to go to is Tyus Jones. I played a lot of Tyus Jones on Wednesday's slate once we got the news Teague was out. If Teague's out again, which I think he will be, Tyus Jones at $4,500 is still way too cheap. I think he put up 30 DraftKings points against the Hawks. I think he played 37 minutes. It was an overtime game, but 37 minutes out of Tyus Jones. Should probably play about 32, 33 minutes here if Teague sits. He's going to be a really good value play at $4,500. It's not the best matchup with the Pacers, but Tyus Jones still remains too cheap. I expect Teague sits today, so that's going to make him a really good value. He's the value play that I really want to go to at this position. Like I said, I don't want to invest in too many Knicks, but Alonzo Trier's minutes have been up lately. Last few games, he's played at least 20 minutes in 3 straight games, 30, 28, 21 minutes. He's been productive in at least 2 of the 3 games against the Magic and against the Timberwolves. Matchup with the Cavs we really like. I wouldn't mind Trier, but obviously Tyus Jones is a much safer play and probably a better play overall. He's the guy I want to go to. But let's go ahead and move on to shooting guard, talk about this position. Before we do that, though, definitely want to play Tyus Jones on Yahoo as well. $14. It's going to be a really good value play over here as well. But shooting guard, I don't really have a ton of interest in the top options. Harden, Curry aren't really guys I want to go to today. Like I said, I'd rather play Westbrook over Harden, even though Harden's down to 11K. I still think Westbrook's a better play than Harden. Mid-range is probably where I'm going at shooting guard. Derrick Rose if Teague sits, is definitely a play you could go to. If you want to take a shot on Andrew Wiggins, he's not the highest upside play, but 6,100, you could go there if Teague sits. He does see a slight boost. Value-wise, I don't really love a lot of value here. You have Trier, who you could play at 4K if you want to go to him. I think we're going to see Gary Harris's minutes start to ramp up. Obviously, when he's when he's no longer limited, 4,300 is going to be too cheap for Gary Harris if he's not going to be limited. We don't know that right now, but I think he did play pretty decent minutes last game, 23 minutes last game. I think he closed out that game as well. I wouldn't be surprised if we get Gary Harris starting soon over Malik Beasley. So at 4,300, he could be a value we possibly consider at this position. But let's go ahead and move on to small forward now. So this position is definitely interesting at the top. Paul George, Kevin Durant, two expensive options here. I really like Paul George. He's my favorite stud to pay up for on the slate. He's $10,400 on DK. He's $51 on Yahoo. Obviously, I like Westbrook. I like Towns. But if you just look at the point guard position, like I talked about, there's cheap plays at point guard with Tyus Jones. There's good mid-range options. You got DSJ. If you want to play like Jamal Murray, you got D Rose. You could play in the mid-range. Looking at center, there's good mid-range options here to where you don't have to pay up for Jokic or Towns. You got Mitchell Robinson, who we're going to talk about. There's going to be some value here potentially with Bam Adebayo, Jonah Bolden. But small forward is just not the best position. There's really no cheap plays I like here. I'm going to try and pay up at this position as much as I can. So that's what's really going to put me on Paul George. $10,400 still feels a little bit too cheap for him. He should be priced about the same as Westbrook. The production's been just as good as Westbrook, giving you probably about a 45, 50 point floor on a nightly basis. PG's got a ceiling as well. He can go for 70, 80 DraftKings points. So I really like him here in a high total game. I think he plays well. 10,400 still remains underpriced. I think there's going to be enough value to where we can fit in at least one stud today. PG is the guy I'm really going to look to. If you're not going to him, though, if we're looking at other small forwards, Jimmy Butler at 7,100, I don't mind here against OKC. Obviously, he's going to be needed in this matchup quite a bit. He's going to be needed defensively. They're going to need him on Paul George, going to need him on Westbrook. Joel Embiid being out definitely helps Butler as well. So he would be the next small forward. I would probably consider either him or Tobias Harris, 7,100. Looking cheap, though, like I said, there's not a lot of value I like here. Like Damian Dotson had been playing really well, and then he kind of crapped the bed in his last game. I played a ton of him last game against the Magic, just didn't do well, didn't play a ton of minutes. I'd expect he bounced back, but I don't think we need to play him at 4,600. I feel like there's going to be better value on the slate. Mike Scott's a value play I want to talk about at this position. So with no Joel Embiid for this game and no Boban as well, I think we're probably going to get about 28 to 30 minutes from Mike Scott. He's most likely going to come off the bench. Jonah Bolden is probably going to start, but Mike Scott should get plenty of backup minutes at power forward and center. If he's going to play 28 to 30 minutes at 3,800, that at least puts him in consideration for value. So if you need to go cheap in this position, Mike Scott's not the worst play at 3,800 for value. But moving on to power forward now, really like Kevin Love at the top here. He's probably one of my favorite plays on this slate. He's 6,900 on DraftKings and he's $31 on Yahoo. Lately, we've seen Kevin Love's minutes just start to slowly increase. Last 3 games, 22 minutes, then 26 minutes the next game, then 28 minutes against Portland. I expect Kevin Love probably plays about 30 minutes here against the Knicks. He's been so productive without LeBron. Obviously, with LeBron no longer on the Cavs, Kevin Love going to be a 1.5 kind of fantasy point per minute kind of guy. He's got a crazy high ceiling, 54 DraftKings points in only 26 minutes against Memphis. 28 minutes against Portland, shot the ball very poorly in that game, still put up 36 DraftKings points. We know Kevin Love's a very good scorer. He can grab rebounds as well. Pretty much feel like he's guaranteed to get you a double-double in this matchup. If Kevin Love, even if he's going to be limited to 30 minutes, 6,900, especially against the Knicks, is too cheap for Kevin Love, even with the 30-minute limit. But there's a chance they take the minutes restriction off and they just let him go out there and play 33, 34. He's starting to get a lot more action in, so should be ready to go for this game against the Knicks. Obviously, really good matchup. Definitely like Kevin Love today at power forward. If you're not going to him, Paul Millsap's been playing really well lately. It's a tough matchup against Utah. I would rather play Kevin Love, but I imagine Paul Millsap not going to get much ownership today. I feel like Kevin Love's probably going to be a little bit popular, so Millsap makes sense as a pivot, but Kevin Love, if I have to choose one guy who I think scores more points, it's probably going to be Kevin Love, but obviously, it's the Cavs. Love's still kind of limited, so there's a chance things could go wrong here. And then you pivot to Millsap if he has a big game. that's obviously going to be very rewarding for you. But other power forwards, if we're going a little bit cheaper, I think with Domantas Sabonis out for the next few games, Thaddeus Young's going to benefit, probably plays a few more minutes. 5,900, he's not the worst play on the slate. If Hassan Whiteside's out again, 4,900 for Kelly Olynyk looks really good if you want to play him at power forward. I do want to talk about Bam Adebayo and Jonah Bolden. So right now, not knowing the status of Hassan Whiteside, I'm recording this on Wednesday night. I like Bam Adebayo. Obviously, if Hassan Whiteside is out, he's become one of the best values on the slate. But like I said, not knowing the status of Whiteside, I'm going to go ahead and plug in Jonah Bolden at 4K. I think Jonah Bolden is going to be a good value today. He's cheap on DraftKings at 4K, and he's the minimum on Yahoo at power forward. Looks like one of the best values right now. So obviously, talking about Mike Scott earlier, I said that Boban's going to be out for this game, and we know Joel Embiid is going to be out as well. So Jonah Bolden should be getting the start at center here. It's not the best matchup against OKC, but Bolden's a pretty productive player. Even in 18 minutes against New Orleans in his last game, he was in a little bit of foul trouble. Had 5 fouls in that game. He still put up 26 DraftKings points in 18 minutes. The guy can go out there and play 30 minutes if they need him to. If he can stay out of foul trouble, I would not be surprised if we get 30 minutes out of Jonah Bolden. And we could easily get 25 to 30 DraftKings points. So at 4K, he does look like a really good value play today. Obviously, if Whiteside's out, Bam Adebayo becomes a great value as well. I don't mind playing both Bolden and Adebayo, especially if you want to fit in multiple studs. If you want to stack PG and Westbrook, if you want to play PG and Towns or PG Jokic, whatever, going Adebayo Bolden makes a ton of sense for looking for cheap value. But let's go ahead and move on to center now and talk about this position. So you do have Towns and Jokic at the top. Right now I'm leaning Towns at 10-5 against the Pacers. It's not the best matchup for Towns. It is a back-to-back, which is concerning, but especially if Jeff Teague sits today, Towns does see a bump in his assist percentage. He's just been so productive this year without Jimmy Butler, and if you take Teague off the court as well, Towns should be able to put up a pretty decent game here against the Pacers. I like him. I do like Jokic as well. I prefer Towns, but I'm still going to have a little bit of exposure to Jokic. Jokic is not my favorite stud on the slate. I definitely want to go to the guys from OKC before I go to these expensive centers, but both Towns and Jokic, especially like in my 10 Yahoo lineups, I'm probably going to have at least a couple lineups with one of those guys. Probably like 2 with Towns and one with Jokic. But the reason I don't think you have to pay up at this position is because there are going to be so many good mid-tier and value plays potentially here. So we saw Whiteside sit out Wednesday night, like I said. It's a back-to-back. It's a road back-to-back, I believe. Or they were at home on Wednesday night. Now they're traveling to Houston. So there's a chance Whiteside sits again today. If he sits, like I said, Bam Adebayo becomes a really good play. You could play Jonah Bolden if you need value. In the mid-range, we have Mitchell Robinson, who I think is still a really good play, even though he's priced up to $6,400 on DK, and even though he's up to $24 on Yahoo. The dude's just been playing so well with DeAndre Jordan out. The minutes have been there. Last 2 games with Jordan out, 30 and 33 minutes for Mitchell Robinson, 45 and 54 DraftKings points. It's a really good matchup with the Cavs. Obviously, we know the Cavs are one of the worst, if not the worst, defensive team in the league. This feels like an easy double-double spot for Mitchell Robinson, and obviously the blocks are going to be there. This guy is one of the best shot blockers in the league. Last 2 games, 5 and 6 blocks, 3 and 4 blocks before that. I'd probably say Mitchell Robinson gets you like 15 points, 13 rebounds, and probably like 3 blocks here. I think that's probably like a good projection for him. And if he even puts up that's like 35 or 40 DraftKings points. So he is easily a good play at 6,400, even though the price tag's up there. Still like Mitchell Robinson quite a bit. I would not be surprised at all if we see him start over Noah Vonleh and they move Noah Vonleh to the bench. Robinson's just been playing so good. Feels like his minutes are safe. As long as he stays out of foul trouble, the guy should play about 32 to 34 minutes. Easily gives you a point per minute, especially in this matchup with the Cavs. Love Mitchell Robinson today. At center, I mentioned the value plays I like. You got Kelly Olynyk, who would benefit if Whiteside's out. And then you got Bam Adebayo and Jonah Bolden, who are going to be great value plays today, potentially. Adebayo at 4K, Bolden at 4K as well. But I think that's it for center, guys. I think that's it for the video. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. Hopefully it did help you. If you enjoyed, make sure you click that like button down below. Make sure you subscribe if you have not already. And if you do have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section below or hit me up on Twitter at @theDFS_GOAT. But yeah, guys, really appreciate you watching the video. We'll see you in the next one. Good luck tonight. Peace.